sa. Shamalama ping, pa. Shamalama ding dong, shamalama sing song, shamalama ding bong, here on it, dong, here, do, long, long, come along, sing along, shamalama dinga. Say what? Shamalama dinga. Ooh, sound, boom, beat, infrastructure, drive-by, bass out. There was a drive-by, bass out, shootout, blackout, lookout, cause we're in it. Boom, ba boom, ba boom, boom, boom. Drive-by, bass out. Sound, boom, beat, bang, boom. Lang, goo, ages, I'm talking about bang. Boom, beat, lang, goo, ages, all through the ages. I'm talking about languages. I'm talking about languages, shapes and sizes, sounds and strokes and spiritual surprises. I'm talking about 5 senses, jumping 6 fences, big minds, bending time, other minds not far behind. It is an evolving equation of communication. It does not involve the cell phone or the PlayStation. Forget about the man-made concept of race or geographical location. Artificial fences, artificial nation. I'm talking about artistic jubilation, sigh, kick, cultivation. I'm talking about high tones, levitating big stones, fresh breath, old bones. I'm talking about languages, shapes and sizes, sounds and strokes and spiritual surprises. I'm talking about 5 senses, jumping 6 fences, big minds, doing time, off the map of your mental state. I'm talking about a milk crate as mountain top.
Yeah. What's good? It's your boy, Whispy Woodz. In this video, you guys, we are going to take our first crack at trying to decode Omega. So before we do get into this video and bring a lot of truths out of dualities of what Omega can not only mean, but who he is, there are key things that, once again, have started this mystery. Not only the barbershop, and not only Epsilon, but aspects of clues that they have been hiding in the games. Now, this is an email that you get when you complete GTA 4. Now, I want you to pay attention to what this email is saying, but we are going to take key things out of it to understand an understanding. And this is part of segregation. Now, expand your horizons. Okay? Go to www.whattheydon'twantyoutoKnow.com. We all know of this site. To travel the path that will allow you to unlock your inner spirit guide and know the full potential of earthly splendor that is your right as, in capitals, a golden Dharma God. Now, out of all of this, okay, because the point of this specific email is not only to bring you truth, but it is to help you understand key things and clues. And for those of you who think I capitalize shit for no reason sometimes, maybe it's to fool you with certain things so that certain keywords are not easily spotted. Or maybe I'm showing you exactly what keywords to take to other things and connect. Like Dharma. Now, before I do once again show a huge connection with Omega and possibly things that we have not been noticing about him, I do want to make a note, okay, that these keywords are put in place for specific reasons, okay? and they are what tie certain games to each other. And not only certain games, but certain information that we're supposed to understand is relevant. This is the Rattan Race. A race, okay, on GTA Online, but that is not the point here. The point, okay, is that it was created, okay, by no one else but Rockstar. They created it themselves, including the description of this race, which is very interesting. Knock the canyon's dharma out of line in this point-to-point race. Dharma is something that we have not been noticing. And this is Omega. This is possibly one of the most mysterious characters within GTA 5, aside from Christopher Maj and a few others. One of the main things that not only ties this game to Easter eggs, but to mysteries are the aspects of the unknown and the aspects of UFOs, the pyramids, and all of the things that have to do with the space docker. Now, for some reason, every single bit of those elements all correlate with Omega. Now, one thing I want to bring up with Omega and make it very clear, okay, is that this man Omega, okay, is more than one person. Now, I know this sounds weird for me to say, and I know that, right off top, a lot of people are going to be, weary about where I'm leading with this. Now, I want you to understand my point. When they cast a character, okay, and they cast the character based off of, a star or a voice actor, they are not necessarily using all of their voice actors' concepts. They are creating concepts for the voice actor that they like to portray. Now, this is the same example as them having Samuel Jackson in the game of San Andreas, but he's not Samuel Jackson. He is Officer Tenpenny. Now, the point is that he's not going to portray exactly who he is. He is a form of different dualities of his own self, whether it be his personality being placed on a police officer or otherwise. They are more than one element in one character. So understanding that is understanding that this character Omega is to be understood in different ways than one. Now, aside from just who he is apparently trying to mimic, which is the truth, and this is something not only apparent, but it is implied by the game, and it is obvious implication, like a headband, him being a hippie, and him helping the only black protagonist that we have in the game, and especially giving him a device, the jetpack, and vice versa. This would be the space docker. These are two similar of relevancies to actually ignore. Now, that is one aspect of who Omega is supposed to be. A folklore sense of another truth, okay? That's one. Two is a literal standpoint of who his voice actor was, and that is Alex Bailu. Now, Alex is the person that I played in the beginning of the video. Now, I want it to be very clear. Yes, they bear very striking, not only striking resemblance to each other, but they also sound a lot like each other within ideas and things that they say. Not how they say them, but the things that they say. Whether it's about symbolism or UFOs. There are aspects of the same elements being used here. But there are other elements. So far we've only noticed two. There is one more element that we have possibly missed. And I gotta give this to one of my subs, because if he did not show me this picture, I would have never thought to make the correlation between him and something we know to be in the game. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the Final Frontier, the last mission where we see Omega. And what's interesting about this mission is what he tells you right before he leaves, and it's what kickstarted a lot of people understanding that there are more things in the game than just this car, because otherwise he would not end it the way he ended it. But those are shallow thoughts, and we are here to make the deep connections and deep thought. If this was to be left open to interpretation, then see you on the other side can mean a lot of different things, but it is possibly a clue. See you on the other side, brother, means to be segregated and understood. Part of this understanding is that, yes, it can coincide with a lot of things because it's quite possibly a common expression. But here's the thing. If they wanted a common expression to end a mission, there are a lot of common expressions. Thus, why they are common. Why use a common expression that leaves doors open, like see you on the other side? This leads to much implication to keep searching. Now, one thing I want to bring up is that a lot of people made connections toward the so-called full moon party that we heard from one NPC. Now, a lot of people have asked me to cover the full moon party, and that might come in a later episode, but for now we are going to stick with the things that a lot of the key aspects of the game are telling us and not just the NPCs. The NPCs do leave clues, but I'm not sure if we should pay attention to one specific one. I would say if this was something more noted throughout the game and they kept showing us different aspects of a full moon party, then yes, it would be more understandable to look after. But when it really comes down to see you on the other side, brother, not only is it a clue, but it is a reason to end something. And they have Omega as the end. So understanding something being tied to a quote like see you on the other side and the end of something can give us some clues. See you on the other side. Now, this quote is very interesting, and especially where it comes from. It actually comes from the Lost Wikia, and these are the regular spoken phrases within the story. Now, see you on the other side does have some retrospect within Lost, and not only that, but we've actually had a lot of references within the game that are tied to different TV shows and dualities of movies and so on. But one key thing that we know for a fact, you guys, is that this fucking hatch is from Lost. Meaning, Lost is something we are supposed to pay attention to. Correlation. This is how we know we are on the right track. Because it's following, not with assumption necessarily, but with connection and relevancy. Now, what's interesting about Lost and see you on the other side is that that's only one part of the phrase, and that is the aspect of the segregation that I mean. The other part of the segregation is the word brother. Not only throughout the mystery do we understand aspects of brotherhood, which is tied to space brothers and brother being a mirror duality. We actually have aspects of Michael and Trevor. Okay, so now what we're looking at here is the famous hatch from Lost, and that a lot of people just plain theorized was just a reference to GTA 4 with Roman. Now, here's my biggest point. If inside of GTA 5 that we have this hatch, and if there is Roman from GTA 4 sending us signals through Morse code. Is that just a bullshit reference to GTA 4? Or are they telling us that we are supposed to understand the clues given in GTA 4? And that is Dharma. Now, the Dharma initiative is very, very interesting, especially with symbolism. And now, what is very interesting about the Dharma initiative is not necessarily what they do, but what they symbolize in a lot of different aspects, and just their relevancy within Lost and the aspects of spirituality and numbers and a lot of other things that we have been looking up in the game. One thing that is very interesting is that the Hanzo Foundation ended further funding to the initiative in 1978. The Dharma initiative largely ended after the Purge, an event that saw the death of almost all of its members on the island at the hands of the hostiles, either in 1988 or 1992. Now, when it comes to the Dharma logo, what's very interesting is that it actually comes from Chinese philosophies. The octagonal diagrams with the line symbols, okay, these are called trigrams. Surrounding the center Dharma initiative symbols are derived from fundamental philosophical concept in ancient China known as Waga. In Chinese, Ba means number 8. What do we know to be 8 in the mystery? Infinity, infinite, also possibly tied to 88, evil and possibly good, and time travel. And Gua means trigram. Thus, the term Waga signifies 8 trigrams. Now, yin and yang are aspects of duality. But aside from just yin and yang, I find it very, very interesting that these ancient philosophies that Dharma associate with bear down to aspects of color spectrums that symbolize different ethics of life and emotions. No different than what I've been showing. Now, before I do show you possibly a key point of all of this and why we should even be looking a lot more into Lost, is the fact that all of this, no matter where we go with it, in what TV show, what movie, or any of that, it will most likely bear down right back to the symbolisms. But do not get discouraged thinking that we're going around in circles. Be happy that we are on the right track, that we are following a designed path that actually allows us to pick up more and more information. Whereas if we stayed in one ethic of thought that that thing down there was just a sense of loss within an Easter egg, we would have never understood certain parts of why this is relevant. So now what we're looking at here is why I personally think Dharma has more aspects to the mystery than we understand. And if not, they were just telling us a lot of the symbols that we were supposed to pay attention to in the first place. Like a swan. Not only is it reference to a bird, possibly bird's eye view, and a lot of aspects of a bird, but there are key dualities with the swan that we can still take information from, like an ugly duckling turning into a swan, evolution, adaptation, or something tied to Michael, which is water, a swan dive, an arrow can easily be taken into duality of what we are within the game, and that is our cursor. You are an arrow, but this arrow is also tied to aspects of shamanism, also tied to aspects of a pyramid. It's also tied to aspects of IIA and all of the symbols that they have chose to put in their logo. The staff logo is very reminiscent of the hospital logo, which is a snake coiled around a staff with wings. This staff is a representation of a duality. It is the rod of the Antichrist, but also the holy scepter of God. The reason why there are snakes is because the snake is also a duality with something good and something bad. The wings are very self-explanatory with angels. The pearl can be taken into such ethics as a sea-bearing creature holding a pearl, like a clam, or a pearl being a spherical object, something that has been tied to worshiping suns and deities from the beginning of time. The Hydra. Not only do we have a Hydra in GTA's past and GTA 5, but the Hydra is a mythical beast. This specific Hydra has 6 heads. 6, the number of the devil. We have fire, very self-explanatory within the game. We have a hair. It's very interesting that this hair is called the Looking Glass. And now we have the Tempest. The Tempest logo is a wave, but a tempest within definition is one duality we can understand, and that is something that has been tied to the game since the beginning of the mystery, and what has tied all of the Easter eggs to, and that's weather. A tempest is a very, very bad storm. An orchid, which is a flower, something to be taken in duality of karma, things that they have shown us in the game. The lamp post. Throughout GTA's history, we have had notable things happen with the lighthouse, and it has reoccurred within our game. It not only being a very well-noted place for Ursula being a reference to aspects of the Kraken and evil things, but the lamppost can also be a duality of illumination in the seraph, aspects of the light bearer, and all of the spiritual things that coincide with it. So now we're looking at the other Dharma logos that are tied to not necessarily stations, but other aspects of the series, and a lot of their logos still have relevance, like a star. The wrench can be taken into meaning of something that has been within GTA's past for a long time, and that is modifying cars. Even since GTA 3, we have always been noted to have to go to the Pay and Spray, or even go to 8-Ball to get rid of a car. Now, the motor pool is obviously tied to motor vehicles, and so is GTA. The cafeteria logo is not necessarily anything that has to do with the mystery, but understanding an ethic that is the cross. The crossing of the swords is deeper than just a fork and a knife, meaning food. And it's no different than having 2 guns crossed, or 2 swords, or even 2 golf clubs. They are all part of the same ethic, and I will bring more proof to why this crossing of the swords doesn't mean it needs to be a literal sword. It can be any object as long as they are crossing. As I said, the crossed swords, they are solitary that is seen in heraldry, either pointing upwards or downwards. The symbolism between the two orientations are quite different. Pointing upwards shows swords ready to fight. Okay? This is basically starting a war. Okay? Something evil. Nothing that you want to be a part of. Unless you're Trevor. Pointing downwards. Swords and other weapons pointing downwards imply the fight is over. Putting an end. Okay? An end. From Alpha to Omega. Consequently, downward pointing swords may have been engraved on a war memorial. And this is no different than why guns point down. And this is also the same reason why, among other reasons, why the cross, when it is Jesus, it is downward, like a sword, going down. Putting an end to that evil aspect of war. But when you flip it upside down, that is a symbol of the Antichrist. War. What he plans to bring. And like I said, you guys, it really does not matter which way you see this, as long as you see it so you can understand. It wouldn't matter if it was swords, guns, or any of the above, or even a golf club. What's pretty interesting about this sign in particular is the aspect of the bird and 1992. Very interesting that that is the same time San Andreas took place. Now, I understand that a lot of people were wary about my golf club theory, but I beg you to once again take it with a grain of salt, because the aspect of a club can have wordplay regardless of how you see it. Also, an eagle is part of golf. I'd have to say that even if you feel as though the golf clubs are not relevant, if we were to take the aspect of what we learned earlier, and that is how the swords were crossed, just like Omega puts an end to things, so does the downward pointing of the crossed swords. It means to put an end, possibly Judgment Day. The school logo is very interesting, especially because it has an apple. They could have easily put a book or anything pertaining towards school, but they chose an apple. A submarine. We all know submarines are very relevant within water and the mystery. A door. This can be taken into a lot of different meanings, which is why I'm not going to stay too on it. Neither am I going to stay too much on this one, although I find it very interesting that it depicts 3 circles ranging from smallest to biggest. Psychology is something very well noted within human programming. The fact of the matter is, you guys, is that these logos are deeper than just GTA. Even aspects of this specific lightning bolt. And fuel. Gas. These things are bigger than just GTA. But we need to understand where they lead so that we can make the connections. Now that we know in some form or some fashion that GTA is related to Lost more than just some reference to a hatch, we can start making more connections. Okay, I want you guys to really understand what I'm saying here. The reason why I'm saying that Omega, okay, could be two people within concept in one is because even though this man voiced him and looks a lot like his character, they have possibly here mixed the concept of Omega with several different concepts to create one person. And a lot of this person is tied to a person in Lost. And I have to give this credit to my boy, Rhythmatic, because if he did not show me this very distinct picture on fucking Twitter, man, I would have never thought that they were trying to do these things, but it seems apparent that they made a note, you guys, to make Omega not only have long hair, which is different than the model he's based on, but they also made a point to make something very mentionable, and that was that fucking phrase, "I'll see you on the other side," very most importantly, brother.
Crazy motherfucker.
Isn't it incredible?
Awesome, dog, but this motherfucker is small.
Well, they're small, but very powerful. They're far more evolved than we are.
And I sure hope the fuck so.
I'll see you on the other side, brother.
Brother! You alright, brother?
So your excuse about me good, brother?
So what does that mean you then, brother?
Good luck, brother.
And I don't know about you, brother. As far as I can run, brother.
Brother.
To avoid temptation, brother. The boat's all yours, brother. No, brother. I'm not so sure about that, brother. Hope you're sure about this, brother. Take an atom bomb, brother. I think your friends just blew themselves up, brother. Can I ask you a question, brother? I'm never gonna let go, brother. Did you not hear me, brother? I'm trying, brother. But you saved my life, brother. Are you alone, brother? I'm afraid I missed that, brother. Don't mind me, brother. Do you mind if I ask you a question, brother? Out the bottle, brother. These things are not in my head, brother. Hey, Doug, brother! Try, brother. So what's your angle, brother? Brother? Why fire this gun, brother? Forgive me, brother.
Okay, so now that I've shown you somewhat of that connection, I really want this to be known that this is a theory, okay? And I'm formulating a lot of other connections towards why loss can be relevant and why we possibly should have been paying attention to those certain things. But this is somewhat of just an intro into that whole realm. I'm really just showing a big connection on why they imply you to look and why they say the things they say. Now, before the haters come and say, well, dude, you're just making a connection purely based on just the phrase, a common one at that, I want you to free, open, and clear your mind and understand that there is a subtle change in voice, and not even necessarily with just voice, but with how he says what he says. Omega speaks pretty proper, and if you pay attention to how he speaks, it's very different than the way he actually says brother.
Hey, buddy.
Now, what was I doing?
Pay attention.
The final piece! I knew you would make it. Come. I have put together this ship to their exact specifications. I got every piece you sent through, except this.
Man, you crazy motherfucker.
Isn't it incredible?
Awesome, dog, but this motherfucker is small.
Well, they're small, but very powerful. They're far more evolved than we are.
And I sure hope the fuck so.
Okay, so before I show you the change in his voice, I want to make it very notable that not only have I been talking about aspects of evolution, especially within our choices, he says that they are far more evolved than us, the aliens. Now, pay attention to the way he says, "I'll see you on the other side, brother," because the way he says it is exactly like Desmond, and I mean exactly. Listen closely.
See you on the other side, brother. I have put together this ship to their exact specifications. See you on the other side, brother. Brother.
Brother. Brother. Try, brother.
Kiflam, brother.